I'm just going to start with a statement. We are going to hear everybody today, but and the purpose of this meeting is so that we have an opportunity to discuss all of the questions everybody's had, and different questions that we've had for each other. The correction is that it was posted that everybody would have 2 minutes to speak and that you could speak an unlimited number of times. That is not correct, because the purpose of this meeting is for us to have a conversation, and you guys to be more observers. So while there will be public comment, every person will have one opportunity for 2 minutes. So, getting organized. All right.
Should do that at the end?
It says after, on our thing, it says after our discussion.
Okay. Yeah, as a heads up as well, thanks again. This was designed, for me anyway, like I kind of helped get this at 9:15 in the morning, not our normal select board hours. I have to work, so I've got about 45 minutes if you can get out of here. That's me, okay? And we'll carry this on with select board meetings as well, but this is kind of designed for us three to go over your questions that you've had the past month or so and dive in, discuss, organize, and kind of give the best solutions and thoughts we have, okay? All right, so hold on. Do you want to have like our discussion first, or do you want to open up the floor?
Do you want to do public comment first?
Sure, we can do public comment.
Let's do public comment first.
Okay.
Okay, Kathy, thank you.
I just feel introductions are good.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Well, if you have another opportunity, I appreciate that. For anybody who doesn't know, you introduce yourself.
Oh, yeah, Zach Weaver.
Teresa Boucher.
Howard Hall.
I'm Leslie Cavalon, counsel for the town.
So.
On this topic.
Okay, so if people would have something that they would like to say, I'm just going to set a timer just for efficiency. So if we have people who would like to say something, this is the opportunity to have your voice heard.
Yeah, anything additional from the past meetings we've had? Anything new come up that will help us? Start with Kathy.
I would like to read parts of an editorial that was written by a former Commissioner of Agriculture.
Okay.
Who lives in Orwell, but he wrote it on his own, and it has some very good points about agricultural land, especially in Vermont and especially in Addison County. I'm sure that we agree on many things, including the need to fight climate change, but wasting prime agricultural lands is not one of them. The Panton Solar Project will remove permanently 300 acres of prime agricultural land from production. Once agricultural land is removed from production, that change is permanent. Industrialization, in this case solar, or any kind of development, removes land from agriculture. Agricultural production is a worldwide enterprise. All crop production, no matter where, impacts world food production. If the Mato Grosso agriculture area of Brazil has a production hiccup, the price of corn is impacted worldwide. The war in Ukraine has impacted world wheat prices. These ag soils are not replaceable or expandable, except by cutting down rainforests in some far-off place that which you probably, and I for sure, am not in favor of. This project proposes to construct solar panels on an area of prime agricultural soil of statewide significance. Vermont must protect its important agricultural soils. The soils of the Panton Solar Project are widely distributed throughout the Champlain Valley. These soils are highly farmable and productive. Addison County is a major agricultural area, including dairy, apples, small grains, corn, hay, including grasses, vegetables, legumes, and other farming, even turkeys. The soils of the proposed solar site are no different than the majority of the soils of Addison County. They are productive soils of great significance and must be protected for agriculture. My 48 years experience farming these types of soils and my family farm in Orwell have shown me that they are productive and well suited to agriculture production. These soils are a large part of the soils that the Vermont Land Trust has conserved. Vermont Land Trust thinks conservation of agricultural soils is so important, they have conserved over 10% of the 1.3 million acres of prime and statewide soils in Vermont, and VLT thinks there is a lot more work to be done. There is no way at this time to know positively how much agricultural land will be needed in Vermont for future food production. But if we do not conserve for future use the lands we now have, we will be committing a very foolish act. This project runs counter to Vermont's long and successful programs of preserving farmland. Vermont has contributed millions and millions of dollars to the Vermont Housing and Conservation Board for a long time, precisely to preserve ag soils. In 1986, as Commissioner of Agriculture, I was part of the initial effort to get legislation passed to set up the Vermont Housing and Conservation Board. A large part of these funds, taxpayers' money, are being used to conserve by purchasing easements on farm and forest land via the Vermont Land Trust and other such organizations. Vermonters have taken seriously the conservation of agricultural land. These conservation efforts are designed to make sure we have farmland for the future by purchasing development rights to conserve farm and forest land. It is wrong to now allow the development of agricultural land with solar panels when so much time on the part of Vermonters and so much money, so much goodwill of the people of Vermont has been sent towards conserving irreplaceable agricultural lands. From the Vermont Land Trust Annual Report 2022-2023, Vermont's conserved land, including the 630,000 plus acres we help protect, strengthens our ecosystems and benefits all forms of life. We are so grateful for those who, over decades, have conserved and stewarded their land to benefit all of Vermont and beyond. Vermont has spent many millions of dollars on the current use value program, to assess agricultural land and buildings fairly, so that agriculture pays its fair share of property taxes. This fair taxation significantly helps farmers keep on farming. Let's preserve our prime ag soils, keep our farmers farming, keep agricultural a vital part of Vermont, and power our EVs and heat pumps some other way. Paul Stone. And I
Okay,
say he is an
thank you.
expert.
Can I say?
It would be really great if you could get us a copy of that.
Yeah, I
That
was
would be
gonna say, I know you printed it, but if you could email that, I mean, because,
We can
or
make-
make copies, that's fine.
Copies
Because
of it.
what we're doing, again, like Teresa has a number of sites and articles and studies as well, so we're gonna gather all this stuff, so it's super helpful, I appreciate it.
Okay, moving on, we can, I mean, if people could keep the rest of their comments to 2 minutes, that would be great. Who's next?
Anyone?
My name is James Marker.
Yeah.
Okay.
The view from my house is represented in the second picture on the left here.
Okay.
Had that view for 45 years. It looks to me like it would be a lot like being sold over here. People from 22A will not be able to see that solar array, and I'm not saying I'm for or against it, I'm just making a statement because that's my view. I don't know how many of you people here have that view. I can see the town hall from my house. So that directly affects me. And my first question is, why does it have to be so big? Can it be made smaller? First question. Anybody tell me?
That's between the landowner and the solar company and how they negotiated that. Again, great question.
And we're gonna, that's what we're gonna talk
Probably,
about today.
And the second question would be, to the issue of cropping the land. There's several studies done by the University of Ohio, if you want to read it, you can crop underneath soil. Number one, it cools the land to make it grow better, because no shade has to come. People can work under those solar panels, there's a lot of worry about radiation stuff, not true. People can work under the solar panels. If you want to read the articles, they actually crop underneath solar panels, they read broccoli, they read all kinds of crops that. Almost 300 acres right now, a lot of it isn't being used.
Yeah.
They don't. And I can't say that for sure, but my point is, why don't we look at it and invest and look into property underneath the soil table? That answers that whole question of why we can't let farmland go away from that. My third point would be, like I stated before, I have children and grandchildren. You have to think about the future. What do you think about a nuclear power plant in Button Bay? We have to save our families and children, it's obvious that we will be up. So what do? We turn our back on solar panels. We already provided that, because we have set panels already. Just because we did this, we can't give more. The only point is, I live on the hill and I look at it every day. When I think of my family and people, and where the world is changing, solar panel right down here isn't the worst thing in the world. You put a power plant above May, maybe not either, they're the safest energy there is in the world. You don't like it.
Thank you.
Thanks, team. I love those points. Thanks for.
But
bringing us.
can I just give you a point on, a lot of solar fields now are planting pollinator fields underneath there for bees and everything else. You know, I'm a Vermont beekeeper. I'm a member of the Addison County Beekeepers and also the Vermont Bee Association. And we've talked about that. And there's actually a guy in Cornwall that has come to us many times to talk about putting more pollinator-friendly plants at the solar field that we have there. And that's something that Green Mountain Power is very interested in doing. So those are some of the things that actually would work really well for them. So those are ideas out there. But,
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I just think there's a lot of ways to use that land and not just say that.
Okay,
we hear you.
thank you so much. Next. Okay, thank you. And next person? Okay, can you state your name, please?
Karen Fred. I think this is a wonderful decision for the town, and I would request that the board seriously consider putting this to a town vote. There's a lot of interest on both sides. I think to make a change to the town this significant should be put out to the greater population. Whichever way it goes, at least then you'll have you'll have a better understanding of what the people of the town need. I mean, it's great that people are showing up to our meetings and planning commission stuff, but I think you can reach a much broader audience.
Okay, great.
Yeah, thanks, Ray.
Thank you.
Sharon?
Sharon.
Yep, Sharon, go ahead.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so, Vermont is known for its picturesque landscape, we've been over this before. It's charming small towns and a sense of community. And this kind of a project in this small town is completely out of place and way too large. I don't understand why it would even be considered when we have already met our green energy goals to the tune of 200%. Why are we even considering adding more? So that's just one thing. This was brought to my attention yesterday in California. They have actually installed too much solar. And it's just like the dairy farms here, they're going underwater. They have so much solar. Yeah.
No,
Go ahead.
we're listening. Keep going. I'm just also have people online. I'm still trying to monitor this as well.
Yes,
So,
we're listening. to you,
We're
Sharon.
listening.
Okay. So, in California, where they have installed so much solar that they have an overabundance of solar energy that they're unable to use, they're dumping it. They're dumping the solar energy, and the price of the solar energy is now underwater. Just like happens with the dairy farms here. They have rushed to install their green energy requirements and install way too many solar panels everywhere. And now they're paying the price for it. So I don't know if anybody has considered that or even been made aware of it. I was not aware of it until yesterday. But I think that is something that needs to be considered. No amount of money that you are being paid by these solar companies is worth taking away that landscape.
So who's being paid, first of all? It's ridiculous.
The town.
In terms of tax dollars, we haven't
Yes,
had anything
that's
paid.
all. We have that sheet that they gave us, how much the town would be earning. Now, you
It's
know,
all
so we're aware of
hypothetical.
that.
Yeah,
Same thing with Green Mountain Power, the town gets paid for the 40 acre Watersville field from Green Mountain Power.
Okay.
Now, there's a 32 acre solar field that Green Point installed in Coxsackie, New York. That town gets $1 million a year. Plus benefits.
I'm just saying we're far enough away from that. We're really in kind of the information stage, like we have, I
But we
know
all
it's
know
all.
that there's a monetary benefit.
And again, I think that's like here, but we're here, so we're trying, so this is what the point of this is.
Okay, so hang on.
Whoa, one person at a
2
time.
minutes, even if you, the people online are asking if you can come up and get closer to the mic so that they can hear you, I'd appreciate that. Sharon, if you'd like to wrap up your comments, that would be great.
Why would it even be considered if there's no benefit to the town? I don't see any benefit other than a dollar amount that would be, you know, dangling out in front of you like a carrot.
Can I answer that?
But this is just, we're gonna
Well-
discuss all of this, right? We're gonna talk about the
Okay.
potential tax money that the town would get.
No, I wasn't even talking about the tax dollars, but I can't tell you what to do with your property, Sharon. I can say there's regulations for
They're
zone.
working on my property.
Let me, I heard you, so please listen to me. Okay, thank you. I'm saying there are zoning regulations you have to follow, and I understand that. But I'm just saying, you know, everybody in Vermont always says, you know, let me do my thing the way I want to do it, and don't put all these regulations on me. And I'm just saying, you have two property owners who do want this.
They're not
And-
wrong.
Okay, we don't know what we know what they've asked us for. We're not gonna speculate what we think they think. We're gonna let them tell us what they think and what they want, and that's how we're gonna base it. We're not gonna start making judgments about people's motivation or anything like that, because
I'm not
that-
talking about motivation, I'm talking about that land is on the RA 10. It is not zoned commercial.
I understand that, and we are gonna talk about zoning today. That's one of the things on our list of things to talk about.
So I have, on my zoning is RA 5. I cannot use my land to an RA 2, it's because I want to.
Okay, so we understand that, and that's, again, we're gonna talk about zoning today. That's one of the things on our agenda. Okay. Okay, thank you. Can you identify yourself, please?
This is Catherine Hayes.
Thank you.
I'm also serving on the planning commission in the DOB. I wanted to support what Mary Rudd proposed, which is to put this to a town-wide vote. The topic is obviously of concern to all of us, in addition to the individuals who have the right to do what they want with property. There are broader implications for the community that I think many people have expressed. As Mary said, there are people on both sides of it, and putting this to a vote would enable everyone to come together and have a process for making such an important decision, whether in the future aspects of it. I would also note that the DRB has met on this several times and held sessions on it and input on it. And so at some point, although I have to be just as that does, would like to understand how the commission deliberations and decisions are being considered in your process. Not this second, but as part of this overall process.
Cool.
Thanks, Catherine.
Okay. Yes, hi. Can you-
Hi, I'll come closer. My name is Wendy Knight. I'm a Canton resident. I'm a resident of Canton. I also support Mary's excellent solution. I think putting this to a townwide vote makes a lot of sense. Obviously, there's a lot of interest. I think putting it directly to the voters of Canton removes the select board from having to determine what they think the Canton residents want for their community. And it allows the Canton residents to weigh in directly on that.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I agree.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, could you come over here so that the people online can hear you? I appreciate that.
So I just want to say,
Can you start by identifying yourself, please? Just so we have
I'm
it.
Kevin Cook, resident of Canton. I think the select board needs to present to the town members before a vote is taken, and I agree with the vote, it needs to happen. This is a huge thing for the town, huge chunk of land over many decades. It shouldn't be made by the select board. The town voters should be the decision makers in this process. The select board represents the town voters. Now, that being said, one thing I would like the select board to do, that I think is your job, is to present to the town what this process is from start to finish and all the points along the way. Number one, how are we supposed to understand this if we don't know where we're going? All I hear is a lot of talk. I know the solar people have done a lot of work. And if they've done a lot of work, they've got a big investment here. So we are not to the money down here. We're to the money here. To make a decision, you need to know the cost benefit this is to the town. I know money has been spent by the solar people. Money's already moving. We need to know that. We need to see the financial plan before a vote is taken. We need to know everything. And that is the select board's job, and that is what I want to see from the select board.
Thanks, Kevin. That's exactly what today's about.
Yep.
That's what we're here for.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Okay, somebody else? Can you come over, please? Thank you.
Fine, Sandy Fine, resident Kent.
Hey, Sandy.
Excellent
Yeah, I can't
point.
really hear you.
Excellent point he just made. My one question is, this is not a part of our plan for renewable energy. How much is it going to cost us to rehire lawyers to redo that plan? And do the townspeople want to spend money to redo that plan, which all goes into, yes, we need to put it to a vote, but how much is this going to cost us to change our zoning so that this is acceptable? My only other point, agriculture under solar panels, great. Who wants to crawl around under them? Not me. What happens? The world is a wonderful place. We're making gains, leaps and bounds with solar, with hydro, with all kinds of energy. When are these huge, ugly solar panels going to be obsolete? 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? When are they going to be replaced by something small? Remember our first cell phone looked like a suitcase you carried around? Now look, are we heading that way with solar panels?
Yep.
So why? And what happens to these panels? Is this lease on this land 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? And who takes care of those panels at the end? Is the town of Canton going to be responsible? Are we going to end up burying them right where they laid and ruining that land? It's just questions. I don't know. I have no clue. I don't even have solar at home. I'm totally uninformed on this. But it's just questions I have. That, as he said, it would be great if we knew the answers. Or at least some of them.
Yeah.
Thank you
Just
so much.
educate us.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sandy.
Anybody else? Anybody on Zoom who would like to, oh, it's Sam. Hang on. Can you unmute? Sam?
You're referring to me?
Yes, thank you. I see your hand up.
Oh,
Is that not, is your hand not up?
no.
Okay, that's all right. I just want to make sure everybody.
No, thank you though.
Hello, this is Lorraine Kaiser. Can you hear me? Okay. Oh boy.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry. Having trouble here.
Oh, but they muted us, I think.
Oh, okay. I could
Or
no
we're
longer.
muted.
We're muted? Okay.
So they can hear you, but we won't be able to hear them because they've muted us.
And what's the reason for that?
I don't know. I assume it's just a technical small issue. And I think
Okay.
that she's going to unmute us right now.
Yeah, all right, look, thanks, Lorraine. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can, yes. I wasn't sure if Sam was going first.
No, no,
No, go.
go
Say-
ahead.
Okay, all right. I'm Lorraine Kaiser, and I just have a few things. I'll try to streamline it as much as I can. One is about the 2-minute limit. I don't know really why that is being stressed. I went on the Vermont state statutes, and even though I didn't read it all in detail, I kind of went through as fast as I could. There's no mention of a 2-minute limit. What they do stress is transparency to the residents of the towns that the town boards have. And also that there seems to be sort of, this is a big project, which I think everyone agrees, sort of a rush attitude of a, let's get this done and let's move on. I don't know, I can only speak for myself. As I get older, I like to really look at things. So maybe slow it down. And I think, was his name Mr. Cook? It's kind of hard to hear what he said before about, just really looking at this and taking time. Also, as far as Sun East goes and their parent company, it seems like an unfair equation where the residents of Panton are being asked to give up their really lovely landscape and this sort of thing. And that we are not, that the power that's being generated from the solar panels will be sent to states like Connecticut that are richer and can pay these companies more. And, as it was mentioned before, what is the benefit here? And that's about all I had to say. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Lorraine.
Thanks, Lorraine.
Mhm.
In terms of the, just to clarify, the 2-minute limit, it's just because the purpose of this meeting was to discuss amongst the select board. We've spent almost 4 hours listening to people, and that's really important. But the purpose of this specific meeting was to be able for us to have a conversation, and you're welcome, everybody's welcome to sit and listen and watch, but it isn't a roundtable discussion. This is an informational meeting for the select board, and that's why we put the 2-minute limit on there.
Martha. Yeah.
My name is Martha Sullivan McGrath, I live in, obviously. I just want, the select board is discussing to make sure that you're aware of what happened with Sun Common, their parent company filing for bankruptcy in June. That was a red flag for me with this whole project, and I just want to make sure that that's something that you are all aware of.
Thanks, Martha.
Anybody else who would like to contribute?
Yeah,
Okay, Sean,
I'd
go
like
ahead.
to, okay, thank you. Sean Sullivan, former resident, but property owner and a butter. I think you've heard from multi-generational families of the town of Panton. I think you understand their perspective very clear. I've heard the board mention that they've heard so many people outside of this meeting speak positively of this. I'm a pretty social person, and quite frankly, I've not been around or interfaced with those people, which I find a bit unique when the term so many are speaking positive of that. I think you really need to give consideration to these generational Pantonites here who have shaped and formed this great town that I grew up in and am very proud of. Second of all, I'm a professional EH&S, environmental health and science, safety, compliance and sustainability manager and director for a very large corporation. My job is to create sustainability efforts and reduce greenhouse gases for 180,000 employees at sites worldwide, greater than 10%, and a 5-year goal set in doing so again next year. With that said, our impact on the footprint of the communities that we live in is critical. I don't understand when our town plan does not speak to this as being a positive attribute to the town. I'm sorry. A positive attribute to this town. They've spoken. We've heard from the efforts from the towns, and this is on wildlife habitat that is well documented and mapped by the state of Vermont. These wildlife corridors per se will be negatively impacted. There's a tremendous amount of studies that talk about what that impact is. And if you take in the wildlife, you take in the agriculture, you take in the scenic value that we have in this city, or excuse me, the town of Panton, along with the lack of it providing zero benefit to the town when it comes renewable energy, and what your Pantonites are saying, this really should be an easy decision. And then if you know, keep deferring to what the state is going to do, but it's mind-boggling to understand where that would come from to feel that this is something that this town would benefit from. Last question I have is, what is the purpose of going into executive session during this meeting? I noticed that was on the agenda.
Yeah, it's always available for our meetings.
We
if
always
need
put it on the agenda just in case we feel we need to go into executive session.
Probably
It's
won't
on
get
every
into it.
agenda.
Okay, and is this a decision-making meeting? Like,
No.
will you be voting today?
Absolutely not. This is the first time the three of us have been together where we can actually have this conversation when we don't have other agenda items that we need to address. That's
Okay.
why it was called a special time. This is the only thing on the agenda.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Sean.
Okay. No, you're good? Okay.
Just wanted to talk.
Oh. Okay, anybody else?
One more thing. I just wanted to make a note so that it's in the minutes, because they were taking the minutes. The majority landowner out there is not a Panton resident. It's an out-of-state resident. Really? Yes. So I do not understand why we should put their needs above our own. We live here. This is our town. This is our community. And the idea that somebody from out of state has rights to come to Vermont, to the town of Canton, and basically rape us for our land and take that energy out of state is, to me, unfair. I just want to make sure
Thank
that
you.
everybody's aware that the majority landowner is out of state.
Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna close up, public comment time.
Yeah, go ahead.
Will this also resolve, or are you gonna have another meeting to discuss what you guys discussed?
Yes, we will make all of our findings.
Do you have a time of day when everybody can come?
Yeah, no, I understand that, and, you know, like Zach has to work today, and
You
I
can-
have to work a little bit
You can
later.
blame me. This is the only time in the next 2 weeks I could.
So we're gonna try to, normally we try to do our business at the regular select board meetings, which is at 5.
So twice a month, Mondays at 5:30,
The second and fourth.
we meet and we talk about it, our other items and then this as well, so. Yeah.
Yep, we'll have something for sure. Yep. Yeah, okay. All right, so I was doing some research about a bunch of the questions, because I've kept all the questions that people have asked over the last couple of meetings. And we have questions about the public utility overriding the zoning. I sent an email to the Public Utilities Commission, I have not heard back yet, about how something like that could or would happen.
And that would be popular.
Awesome,
You want me to answer the question?
Absolutely.
sure, that would be great.
So you guys should really listen to these
Mm-hmm.
comments.
Thank you.
But pardon me, we were muted again. Please don't shush me. We've been muted again.
it's not intentional.
I understand. Thank you.
Do you hear us now?
I just responded and said, yes, thank you.
Okay, good, thank you.
My goodness.
So the Public Utility Commission will consider the town plan under one of the statutory review criteria, which is the orderly development of the region. With an enhanced energy plan, the Public Utility Commission is required to give what they call substantial deference to the town plan and any specific recommendations from the select board. In order for the Public Utility Commission to, in your words, override the town plan, the developer would have to provide the commission with clear and convincing evidence that there's something in the public good for the state of Vermont that would suggest it's better for the state to tell Panton, we're not going to honor what's in your plan. That's a very high standard. This is, I believe, the first project that the Public Utility Commission, if it's presented to the Public Utility Commission as designed right now based on what's been presented, this will be the first project that the commission will have to determine whether to actually override the enhanced energy plan that the town has adopted.
Cool, thank you so much. So there's a question about, we also had questions about the power being sold out of state. I did some Googling around on that to find out about that, and then if there's credit for the energy production, even if it's being sold out of state. Do you have any information on anything like that?
I guess I need to understand what your question, I don't understand your question.
So we generate, for example, if this 300 acres goes in and we're generating that amount of power, so again, that would pull us well above what we're required to do, because we're already at 200% for the size of the town. And then I didn't know if there was carbon credits or energy credits because it's being sold. Apparently it's being sold to Connecticut because, again, this is information that I have not been able to verify, that has been mentioned to us. Just trying to figure out what is that? How do we, what is the benefit to Panton if the energy is being sold out of state?
In terms of the energy itself?
Sure.
Based on what you said, none.
Okay. Again, I've been trying to cipher through the question that was asked, and I wasn't exactly sure what I was looking for. So I appreciate it.
Assuming that the energy that's sold out of state, the renewable energy portion of it, what's considered a renewable energy credit, basically that attribute, if that's sold with the energy out of state, then there is no renewable energy benefit to the state of Vermont.
Okay.
So the procedure would be, for layman's terms here, when the solar project is ready, they'll present to the PUC to give us the final project plans, and then we'll decide it, and then they'll present again to the PUC.
Do you want me to explain the process?
Yeah, I'd love to hear, because that's a big cloud for me. I'm like,
we don't.
Can you guys keep the noise down back there,
so we can
please?
all hear, including
Thank
the people
you.
online.
So the process begins with an advance notice that a petition is going to be filed with the Public Utility Commission. That hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
It's called a 45-day advance notice. The town, select board, and planning commission, the Addison County Regional Planning Commission, adjoining landowners, and several state agencies will get a copy of that notice, so will the Public Utility Commission, and that notice should be detailed enough so that people who receive it can understand how the project may impact their interests. The project proponent can't file a petition until after that 45-day period has lapsed.
Let's assume they continue to move forward. A petition for a certificate, what's called a certificate of public good, will be filed with the Public Utility Commission. The commission will open a proceeding. The town will have the opportunity to participate, both the select board and planning commission. Adjoining landowners will have the opportunity to seek intervention and participate themselves. The Public Utility Commission, the project proponent, in addition to the petition describing the project, has to provide evidence through pre-filed exhibits and testimony. Unlike a regular court proceeding, witnesses have their testimony in writing, in a question and answer form, so that folks that get a copy of the petition will be able to see what the project is and all of the details, speaking to the statutory criteria, which there are 10, that would apply to the project. There will be likely, assuming there's not agreements from all interested parties, there will be a procedural schedule that will be set after the commission determines who is entitled to party status. People can apply to become parties and participants. There's opportunities for what's called discovery, where the people who are parties in the proceeding are able to ask questions of the project proponent. The parties have the opportunity to present their own evidence through testimony and exhibits. There'll be an opportunity for the project proponent to ask those folks who have filed information or evidence questions, the same kind of thing. And then it goes to eventually to what's called an evidentiary hearing, where the parties are able to cross-examine each other's witnesses. And then assuming this project is being heard directly by the Public Utility Commission, which for those who are unfamiliar with the commission, it's a 3-member commission. They're appointed like judges. So they serve for 6-year terms. I would expect a project of this size would be heard directly by the commission as opposed to a member of its staff, which is called a hearing officer. The commission will take all of the evidence. Eventually, they will issue a decision, either yay or nay, or most likely, if there is a decision to approve the project, there will be conditions that the project proponent will have to adhere to. But whether the commission says yay or nay is not something I could predict.
Right.
So Leslie, one question after the yay and nay, is there any legal position after that?
So depending on what the commission decides, the parties to the proceeding will have the opportunity to appeal to the Vermont Supreme Court.
Okay. And we don't have any indication of when a notice of that 45-day period will start, and when they will give that to the town and to the PUC.
Based on the information that's been made available from the project proponent, I understand they said it would be later this summer or in the fall. I don't know exactly when, but that's certainly something that the project proponent is entirely in control of the timing of that.
So basically, I have a question on there. It was talking about, I understand abutters might have some, I guess, skin in the game on this issue, but people who overlook it, and his question is, what about overlooking landowners? Do they get input?
So there's 2 pieces of this kind of input. One is becoming a party, and anybody who thinks the project will affect their interests has the opportunity to ask to become a party. Whether the public utility, the adjoining landowners, I could say will get party status. Whether you get party status if you're not an adjoining landowner is within the Public Utilities Commission's discretion, and there are criteria for that. I couldn't tell you one way whether somebody overlooking it that's not in a butter would get party status. But in the absence of party status, people can file comments, public comments with the commission, similar to the comments that are provided here. There's a way to file those comments with the Public Utility Commission. The Public Utility Commission takes those comments, and typically what they are used to help the commission understand additional areas of inquiry to ask the project proponent about. So they're not considered evidence, but they do, the Public Utility Commission generally will acknowledge those comments. And if they raise areas that the Public Utility Commission thinks are important to inquire about, they will do that through the proceeding.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the clarity.
Cool. I'm gonna kind of quickly slide from the questions ahead. You're kind of getting into your, I was looking up the environmental impact after the panels expire. Anyway, I found starting a recycling stream, and I found a couple of websites that talk about that. It says that 70% of the panels in the US have been installed since 2017. I'm getting old. And the recycling capabilities are continuing to be developed. The EU has a really interesting, and I'm happy to share any of this information with people, is that they are developing ways to recycle the panels, including the cadmium and all of the other elements to it. And the EU has it to a point, I think that they have 80% of solar panels are being currently recycled. So that's, I mean, and again, this is just information that I've looked at. So that's just information that I found.
Can you put those links to those articles in the minutes of this meeting?
Well, certainly, if they're not there, we'll make sure I'll share this and we'll put it on the website for sure, so people can grab it.
Yeah. We're not taking detailed
I'm
minutes
writing down what we have,
on
but
this because there's so much conversation would be.
Yeah.
Understood. It just would be great to have.
I'll send this, I'll share this with Maggie and have her put this document on the website. And I just put down that whole process that Leslie just shared with us also on this document. So that's been interesting to be able to see that. I was looking about the environmental impact study for the town. Somebody asked if we were going to do, I think if I understand the document correctly, full stop, which means the state wrote it, which means I might not understand it fully, but it seems like there are ways to apply to do one, but I'm having a hard time finding the estimated cost. The question, so if we were going to do an environmental study about our wetlands, about because it's so close to Dead Creek and the bird migratory patterns, how do we figure out who would do that and how much it would pay for? Do you know?
Yes. So I have been on the town's behalf, trying to find expertise to assist you in that process. The project proponent has, as you probably are aware, engaged experts to do those studies and have been working with the agency, I believe, at least consulting with the relevant divisions of the Agency of Natural Resources, so that because the Agency of Natural Resources will become a party in the Public Utility Commission proceeding. How much something costs really depends on, what it is that the town wants. The project proponent has agreed and funded an escrow, $25,000 that can be used before the petition is filed to assist the town. And I'm still working to try to find experts that don't have conflicts to assist you in this. That's about as much as I can say.
Okay, no, that's great. All right, and then there's, people had questions about the health impacts. And I looked at, obviously, when I looked at this one, I was like, oh, this sounds really good. And it was done by a solar company. Of course, they're gonna make it sound good. But then I did go to an actual Q&A website called Cora, which is pretty well known for having kind of open dialogue. And so I don't, from what I have read, I have not seen that it is any more dangerous than any of the other power generating that is going on in the US. Now, that doesn't mean it's safe for everybody, but that means generally overall, for most people, it would be no more dangerous than any other power generating. Yes, Nina.
Overall, there's still those people. And also, I reference safety of it, because I was because I had cancer and I had other issues and autoimmune and all that kind of stuff, so I was doing research and stuff. Natural soil feeling right don't cause me a problem, but the actual, the name or whatever, what the big thing is, whatever,
Right.
I just knew the name, that is what actually causes potential problems. It's sounds too many.
Then we should all go back to no electricity, because all electricity causes something for
We're
some
not
time.
talking about electricity right now, we're talking about solar.
Okay, fair. Okay. So do you guys have anything else that you have questions about that Leslie can answer?
Do we know, so bringing up Kevin's thought too, and again, if it gets there, if the PUC does look past the town plan and decided to go, like, financially, what that looks like with the size they're proposing? Do we know what the town is getting? Because again, I haven't seen.
So I believe that there was basically a fact sheet talking about the benefits. That's what I understand the project proponent has offered, and the document speaks for itself. I think they say that they welcome input from the town.
Okay. Input as far as like, what we hope to see for tax revenue, is that? Input wise, input just like, cool?
Like,
Or
input,
Well,
like, we
what do
really
you
want.
What do you want? I think what they're getting at is, if you will support us, what do you want? What do you want in order for the town to support you?
Okay.
That's what I understand.
Exactly.
Yeah, we can, clarify.
Yeah.
What's on that, where do we go?
Right here.
This is okay?
Yeah, that's the people looking
Yeah,
at
hi. So Reed Wills with the solar project. So we put together a fact sheet. We actually just finished PUC hearings on Monday. One of the reasons I was up here for our Shaftesbury project in southern Vermont. That project has a host town agreement with the town of Shaftesbury. So we went through a similar process of beginning outreach, people expressing concerns, trying to work with the community, work with the town. And it took a while till we got to a host town agreement. Leslie, you may correct me. My understanding is the tax formula is a stipulated formula. There's a stipulated formula that talks about tax revenue that goes to the town. I believe that's income sensitive. So it has something to do with how much electricity is generated, what you get for it, and then the town's assessment methodology. All those things go together. So not knowing those, those not being established yet, what we did is we said, well, here's what we've estimated for the town of Shaftesbury for a project that is 20 megawatts. Megawatts is how we talk about scale when we're in the electric world. And this project is proposed to be a 50 megawatt project. So it's 2.5 times bigger. We said, if we said 135 over here, multiply that by 2.5, that is what would be the proportional amount. Then that needs to be looked at in terms of your assessment methodology. And my understanding is your assessment values or millage rate might be higher than what Shaftesbury is. So there's potential that number could be higher than that.
That was on the sheet or the sheet.
And all these notes, yeah, they're all on the sheet when you get a chance to look at it. Then the host town agreement is public. I don't think we've provided it to Maggie, but we're more than happy to, and it's in the public domain. Then the
If
town
you
was
could
also.
share that with Maggie, that would be
Excuse me?
great. If you could share with
Yeah,
Maggie, that
oh,
would be
absolutely.
great. Thank you.
Is that done in that 45-day window? Is that everything?
No.
That's fine.
Yeah, so like we're in front, in Shasta is more the 45-day window, and then the engagement started with the bigger project here. With the enhanced energy plan, we started well before the 45-day window. But the other stuff, I promise, I'm outside the 2 minutes, I understand.
It's okay.
But the quick thing I wanted to share was there were other benefits that the town was interested in. They were doing a downtown refurbishment, so they asked for some money to their community fund. So we put up $50,000 will go to them to start a construction. They also had concerns because brush fires and how do you manage that? So we spent a bunch of time with the town fire department. And one of the things they asked us to help with was funding a brush truck. So we have an annual fund that helps finance at least a portion of a new brush truck for them. You'll see something about EV stations, which may or may not be of interest because you already got some. But this, we just put down examples of here's a tangible real world example of a Vermont project we did so that you can understand, and somebody mentioned our Coxsackie project, there's a history there, and it's all in the public domain. There it's a pilot agreement that you do, but all that information is public.
Awesome. Thank you so
So
much.
just wanted to give you just a flavor of, we didn't have anything prescriptive for you. We just wanted to say, here's what is in the public domain.
Yeah.
Here's how it scales up. Let's have a conversation whenever it's appropriate.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Reed.
Do you have a question for Reed?
I have a question for Leslie. Who negotiates what the town gets? Does the town, do you, does the Public Service Utility Commission negotiate it, or who negotiates those figures?
So, I'm a council and I take direction from the, town leadership. What the town wants, I don't do the negotiations in terms of, saying what the town wants. I assist in the process, helping your leadership, the elected leaders, carry out what it is they decide in whatever process they decide is appropriate to do. And then I help document it. So in terms of the negotiations, I would expect it's likely that I'll have some involvement, but it's really up to the town leadership on what it is they want to do, and whether they want to enter an agreement with.
So the Public Utility Commission has nothing to do with the financial piece of the.
From what the town would get if this went through?
Yes.
Yeah, it sounds like it would be an agreement between solar and us.
Yes, that said, the Public Utility Commission would consider what benefits are, being made available. But this agreement that was discussed, that is basically like a contract, just like you would have a contract with somebody to
Like a
do
school.
your yard work, for example. You mow my lawn and I give you $25. So that's what we're talking about. It's really a contract between the town and the project proponent that would, I expect, get filed with the Public Utility Commission as part of the proceeding, whether it happens before or after the petition is filed is really up to the two parties.
Yeah.
Just very quick follow-up.
Can you-
How is that affected with companies who have a contract? How is it affected? Or is it?
Well, there's no contract right now.
No, I'm
So,
saying if there was one, how is it affected by bankruptcy of the company?
well, I would expect that the agreement would have some contingency for that. But there isn't.
It'd be subject to bankruptcy rules and you get what you get.
Yeah, I guess, yes.
Know who you're dealing with. That's the thing you need to pay attention to, know who you're dealing with.
Hey, Sharon?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out on this.
Could you come over here, Sharon, and speak to us? So
So the people online can hear.
can hear you.
Wanted to point out on this benefits sheet, there is a contribution to a fire department of 37.5 for the first year and 1.5 over a 40-year life. We don't have a fire department, so just wanted to make a note of that.
I think that's what he was talking about with, in Shaftesbury, that's what they negotiated.
Yes, I know.
So,
But
yeah,
they also want to list for us, so that doesn't make me feel very good about
well, they
how
just,
detailed the list has been, like, you can't, we don't even have a fire department.
okay, but what he just said, and again, I'm just saying what he said, which is they scaled this up. They just mimicked it. That's, okay, so what this is what they did for Shaftesbury. They scaled everything up by 2.5 times, and he just finished saying that this is what they negotiated, EV and fire department, because that's what they wanted. But what if we got to this point, we would negotiate for things that mattered to Canton. We would never negotiate for fire because that wouldn't make sense for us.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is it's an assumed contribution to something that we don't actually have, we can use. Unless we're gonna start with the fire department. I mean, you know, a number of people were asking about that, and I said, well, don't ask me, I did pretty good, so I don't know what the.
So Sharon, we do spend $56,000 a year towards the Gens Fire Department.
Okay.
And let me finish. And we also spend over $10,000 a year to VARs. So we do put money towards the fire department. Yes, we do not own a fire truck. Yes, we do not own an ambulance, but we do have to pay for fire and ambulance protection.
So I think that,
okay.
I mean, from what I just understood Reed saying, is they put this together not knowing what it is that we would need. And so they just scaled everything up. I don't think they were assuming that we need EV stations, because as he said, we already have some. And they scaled up the fire department one because, well,
It isn't specific to us and what we need.
right, because we haven't had those negotiations.
We haven't
but I
had
see
that
what you're
conversation
saying.
with them.
Okay.
They can't have a benefit sheet, so, you know.
They were giving you an example.
Yep.
It's like buying a new car. They show you all the options, but you might not want that option.
You have to change what you want, and then you get your financials based on what it is you choose.
This is the first time that anybody even addressed it. I mean, we know, obviously, that there's gonna be some monetary contribution to the town.
Yeah.
And everybody is wondering what that is, so they can evaluate whether it's worth it to give up what we have.
I understand what you're saying.
Sharon?
The other thing that I just want to mention is the one thing that Reed said is all of this was done within the 45-day petition time, and that hasn't even been filed for us. So I still feel like right now I'm feeling very caught between these people who say we're not doing enough yet and people who are quick. Can you let me finish, please? We haven't done enough yet. We haven't done our research. We haven't done all of this stuff. And then I have people on the other side, all due respect to everybody, telling us that we need to slow down. We are doing the best we can. We are holding this meeting so that we can hear from everybody and that we can have this conversation. But we can't simultaneously speed up and slow down, do more research about something that's not available yet. We need to be able to process this. We still have the time we need to make these decisions and to be ready for this 45-day petition that we know is coming.
Maybe.
Or let's assume it's coming, but if it's at the end of summer, beginning of fall, we have at least six more weeks before we even get to the point where Shaftesbury didn't even have the conversations we're having until the 45-day period.
Well, we were all shocked when they came to make the presentation at the PRB meeting in March, because nobody, even some members on the PRB, had ever heard of this before. And they're handing out a map that says it's been around here since 2018.
Okay, so again, what private landowners decide they want to start looking at is up to private landowners. They don't have to until they get to the point where they're going to start mapping this out and it becomes a public utility project. until any build, like, we all know, we plan sheds, right? We plan sheds, we plan barns, we plan things to do on our property. We don't have to tell the town until we're ready to get a zoning ticket for it. We can, so people can plan to do whatever. We find out about it once that information is brought to the town, which is brought to the DRB, then it was brought to the select board, right? So people can plan things for a long time and not ever make it public until they're ready to move on it. And I think that's part of the whole, this is somebody else's property. Yes, it affects the town. Yes, it affects the neighbors, all of those things. But you can plan to build a house for 10 years and purchase the property and plan to build a house for 10 years sometime in the future, and you may not ever apply for a zoning or a building permit until you're ready to build. But you may have architectural designs that date back 5 or 7 years, right? And I think, but I'm trying to make a sane judgment. These people have been talking to Sunny East or Viridis, right? And they may have been talking to them from 2018, right? That is their right as a landowner to do that. But
apparently, from what I understand, it came in private, without anybody's knowledge, to someone on the DRB, said, this is what we want to do, the 2018 map, with all of the land, it was in Martin County. They came to the DRB, said, this is what we want to do, not in a public meeting like everybody else has to do. Like when you apply for a zoning permit, it's in a public meeting, this apparently wasn't public, nobody knew about it.
okay, so then I think if you have questions about how the DRB is, I mean, right now, you're kind of translating that frustration onto what we're trying to do here, which is create some transparency.
But she's also a student.
Okay, I know.
At one point though, the longer it takes for you to make a decision, the less time our attorney would have to support and build a foundation for whatever that decision the town comes up with. So if we wait right up until 45 days, then we can't build a case based upon our position, with the time that may be needed for something this size and scope.
I agree, and that is why we're doing this now, and we're still 6 weeks out from the likely start of the 45-day position. That's why we're doing this now, and again.
No, understood. The point being, we have an attorney on retainer. The sooner a decision can be made, the sooner their efforts can be towards promoting and supporting whatever the decision the town comes up with.
Agreed.
Right? Okay, thank you.
All right, you guys have any other questions? Oh, hi.
So, just listening to everybody, this is just a suggestion. I think what everybody is saying is we got 6 weeks. So I think what we need is I'm assuming it's the select board, needs to come up with a project plan over the deliverables that we need to get to in that 6 week period, and then we march along that path. It seems like we're just kind of fumbling through this, and I don't mean that in a negative respect from what I'm hearing. We need to put a timeline and a project plan in place, and then I would assume at every select board meeting, there's a report out specifically with enough time on this project and how are we making progress on these deliverables. But you gotta set out the deliverables, but you got 6 weeks, from what I'm hearing. So that's what I suggest.
And my only point is, I do all this building, and they go, guess what, we're not building here. And you're asking me to do all this extra work to get it prepared, and they.
Sharon, please run for the select board, honestly. Because your criticisms of us as people is really starting to get old and tiresome. Well, no, when you come here, excuse me, when you come here and you laugh and we have people who are telling us we should resign, if you truly believe that, I said people, I did not say you. Okay, but I did not say your name. But you're acting as if somehow we're not doing enough.
We have sat here and listened to this select board, trying to distance the public from speaking, now you're reducing the amount of time.
Okay, I think we're done.
That goes against our First Amendment rights. We have every right to be upset about this.
And we're not saying you don't.
We have every right to voice our opinion.
For 4 hours, Sharon, you've heard it. We've heard you for 4 hours.
We are.
How long do we listen to say that? When we can't just sit there and do exactly what you want.
We have to hear from everybody. So
thanks. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for your opinion.
So again, Howard, what would that look like if we had we do a townwide vote, like it's just a blanket vote on yay or nay, so forth, but there's more
Yeah.
details.
Yeah, you would have to, do a townwide vote, and
We have to.
It would be a
draw-
special election, it would be
it would be
a,
a special election,
Okay,
and you would have to have ballots.
yeah.
And the question is, do you send ballots out to everybody?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Um,
You would have to have ballots, and then you would have to have that, do that, yeah, and either you would mail them, or they would have to come in.
So we have to choose, but are we voting on an absolute no to the whole project?
You would probably have to get legal counsel to determine what is the actual language that needs to be on the ballot to make it official, so it isn't ambiguous and clear, and either party who is voting on saying that you don't end up going into court saying that your ballots were misconstrued. Am I basically saying this right?
I mean, technically.
the devil is in the details.
Okay.
There have been other towns that have voted on projects that go to the Public Utility Commission. There was a wind project in the southern part of the state, where, the developer agreed to abide by the town vote. The town held a vote, and the town voted against the project, and the developer honored the commitment, and that project did not move forward.
But is that a question we could ask Reed, and we don't have to answer, like, if we had a vote and we had the wording of it, like, and if it was a yay or if it was a nay, like, would it continue to go to PUC if it was a nay? I guess is the question, and you don't have to answer, because it's like.
No, sure. So I can't make that decision. That decision would go back to Freepoint. There's a group of people that would have to make that decision. If you don't mind, the one thing I just want to clarify is about the 6-week window. The 45-day notice begins a process that will go on for over a year. Okay. Until a decision is made by the Public Utility Commission. And I'm being very conservative in saying that will take a year. It took, it'll take at least 18 months in Shasberry.
So 45 days would be, that's when we can kind of voice concerns, ideas, like that. After that,
Yeah, it'll open the PUC process for people to formally log their process. The other thing I wanted to clarify is when we reached an agreement with the town of Shasberry, it was much further along in the process.
Yeah.
So you'll make your own decision about how quickly you need to rush to do things. I just wanted to make you aware, unless council wants to correct me, this is a pretty long process and there's lots of opportunity for input.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Reed.
Any other questions of any?
Someone's raising.
Oh, hi. Yes, thank you.
Sure.
Should we decide that, could happen in November when the regular election is going on, and not have it create another election.
Yeah.
I was thinking that as well. I just don't know how that would is
Yeah.
affected within the 45-day window.
Just.
Yeah.
So, yes, you can do that. You can hold it however you want. It doesn't have to be during the 45. That 45-day notice period is a statutory requirement.
Okay.
The intent is to, for people to, the notice gets sent to people who may be affected by the project, including state agencies and that kind of thing. And that's an opportunity for the project proponent to get input that they haven't received potentially otherwise. It's also an opportunity for folks, as Reed said, to provide comments with the Public Utility Commission. If you filed comments with the Public Utility Commission today, there's nothing before them. They don't have any information other than probably what they read in the newspaper or see on the news. So if the town decided you decide that you wanted to go ahead and have some kind of ballot initiative, it doesn't have to be in that 45-day.
there's a comment on there, is the town entertaining other power generation facilities? I haven't heard.
I haven't heard of anything.
I haven't heard anything. The planning commission hasn't told me or told the board, and neither has the DRB, so I would say no.
I have a question.
Thank you.
The vote, if this were to go to the town voters, Martha Grant, and, if this were to go to the voters, that vote wouldn't be held until there was something to go to the voters, like nothing has been filed.
Correct.
So right now, that's null and void.
Right, and so we would have, that's why the language on it is so important.
Yep.
And
I
so-
agree on a vote, and so we have, like, we can say, like, would you be in favor of solar panels, give the town this sort of revenue, like, we just don't know what the revenue is gonna be, tax wise to present it, I mean.
Right.
It'd be a very blanket.
Probably won't know that in that 45-day period either.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we don't, I mean, I think that's what Shaftesbury did in their 45 days, correct me if I'm wrong, was they came up with what, if they agreed to it, what would the financial benefits to the town be, which is where this page actually came from. And because this now, right, is, from what I understand, is now it's public utilities expected to take 12 to 18 months. And this is what came out of the 45-day.
So I would say this, Martha, from my experience in doing quite a few contract negotiations, and like example in collective bargaining, you have a huge wish list that you want, and usually probably more than you'll ever think you want. So you ask for a big thing, and they come back with an offer, and you move back and forth with these form of collective bargaining items, and probably people are only happy when both sides are unhappy with the results. If you get 50% of what you want, you're probably successful. So that's that whole process. So,
I just wanna make sure we're not thinking we're gonna do like put out a vote to the town of Canton when there's nothing to vote on.
That's correct. Yep. Yeah, and that's where we get into the making sure we're ready, but not going too fast sort of thing, and it's a little bit of a push me pull you.
And it would be probably advantageous in November, because having a special election is quite costly.
And we don't get a good turnout, frankly.
And we get a terrible turnout.
And with it being a presidential year, we should get a good turnout. Yeah, and we'll get a really good turnout, not only for the presidential and all of the regular elections, but also then this on the ballot.
We've had elections here where we had 75 people vote, and that is not the 560 residents who can actually vote. That does not really give a good reflection of what the direction or what they actually want. But, it is what it is. That's how democracy is.
Do we want to look at an environmental study? Do we want to think about that?
Well,
Like that
Leslie
would be
said,
before a
I
vote,
think,
right?
I think it's reasonable to think about doing it, but you're trying to find somebody who's not conflicted, who could come in and do it. So Leslie's kind of looking at that right now, but I think if you come up with somebody, I'd love to get that name, so then we can start looking at, I mean, again, between the wetlands and Dead Creek and our enhanced energy plan, I think there are a lot of questions about the size. Like everybody says, why does it have to be so big? Where is it? How close to the watershed is it? All of those, migratory patterns and stuff that we would be unwise to not investigate.
Yeah.
So, cool. Thank you so much for that. Okay.
Yeah, good thing to be educated. I just do want to reiterate, and some people left, but I mean, absolutely want to make the decision. We're for the town. We're not individuals up here making our own futures and careers through this, so we want to listen to the town and base it on that with what we go forward to, and not say yay or nay without being informed, townspeople wise, but give the town enough information environmental wise, process wise, timeline wise, imagery, to make that decision.
And that's one of the reasons why we haven't stated a position yet.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people asking us, you haven't stated a position. Because we didn't have enough information, we're still gathering the information.
And they have not made a presentation
Right,
to the
we have
select
not
board.
seen
And so you're asking us, well, have a position. It's like,
we can't.
I don't know. I don't know what they're offering. I don't even know what they want. I don't even know if they've asked the planning commission a question, and the planning commission has given them an answer, and they haven't come to talk to us yet. So it's two separate forms of government there, that they have to come to us and talk to us and say, this is what we're looking to do. And it's like, oh, okay. So we can start from there. So really, you know, the start gun hasn't been fired yet, so we really can't sit there and say, these are all the things we want. We can give some hypothetical situations, what we would kind of like to prepare for. But again, it's like that, you know, we have to figure things out. Yes.
Are you saying that you have not been given a presentation from the solar people?
We did not go to the public presentations for the solar people.
Why not?
On March 18th, he was present.
We have not been given.
I haven't been to one of their presentations.
You were present in the minutes.
I don't think so, because I was actually in.
It's in March.
Yeah.
She said March.
But what
The
does that
two,
even mean? Like that?
I mean, the thing is, Sean, if you're curious, I was working.
I am.
Because they were held in the evening on nights that I usually work. And so I was unable to attend. That's why I was not there. They were
I
public.
mean, I don't need an answer. It just seems very surprising. Something of this scale, we continue to hear, we as a select board aren't read into this at all. We don't know anything about it. I find that a little concerning to hear that is what the response is, because I'm not sure it's accurate, really. The public information that's there, the information that's on the own town page, you know what the situation is.
Okay, so.
And that's
please don't
okay,
tell me-
and that's good.
No, it's
It's
fine
better.
if you think that I know what the situation is, and I am getting and gathering a lot of information. But me,
Yeah,
as
no,
a-
that's awesome.
me as a select board member, the select board has not had a presentation given to them by the proponent.
Did you ask them?
Yeah, no,
It's out there that we are looking for them. When they're ready to present to us, we are going to.
Red flag, number 2. Where are you? Hang up, start talking, present. All behind the scenes. You need transparency.
Open house is for everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Absolutely, Sharon. I'll schedule my open house between I believe one of those was, I was out of town, I'm sorry. The other one was my birthday, so I was spending time with my wife. I'm sorry, and I apologize.
Excuse me. I'm not asking for an answer as to why you weren't there.
No,
I'm
Excuse me,
sharing the
Sean,
fact
else
that
was.
excuse me. There's
No,
public
wait.
information.
I was talking, and let me finish talking to Sharon, then you can ask your question. I was celebrating my birthday with my wife, and I'm sorry, Sharon, I couldn't make that meeting, and I thought spending time with my wife, other than usually going to the ambulance meeting, the boundaries meeting, the TAC meetings, and all the other meetings I do for the town, I'm sorry I couldn't make to that one.
Okay. All right, so what do we want to wrap up with?
I mean, do we have any other questions for each other that we need?
Other
Or
than-
any other last questions for Leslie?
Other than talk to her about strategies when we go into executive session.
Okay.
Yes, please.
So,
Yeah.
is there any way that it could be moved smaller? I think I asked that before, and you said no. Is there any way, Casper, where it has a way that's 1.5 times whatever we're asking here? Why is it not possible to have that same kind of
Sure, come on up.
size here? And also big.
So, the challenge we have is we're paying to go into a high voltage. So we're at a lower voltage. We're using different equipment down in Shasberry. Up here, we have to go from this area all the way up to the Virginia substation.
Underground.
So we have to do 6 miles. It's gonna be primarily underground unless there's rock. And that's a lot of infrastructure. And then once we get up there, we're gonna be building infrastructure next to, we're working with Belco now on infrastructure next to the substation that's there. So that cost really limits what we can do. We have to have enough throughput to make the electricity affordable, or we won't be able to sell it. So that's our challenge. That's why it's a bigger one than what Chester is.
Thank you.
So we made a proposal to, that is, would go to Connecticut Utilities, but the state of Connecticut ran a request for proposals that we responded to earlier this year. We may or may not get selected. At the time, Vermont Utilities had no incentive to buy electricity from larger solar projects. They've just changed that. The regulators just made that change. I don't know if folks are aware of that. But it's a pretty significant change in the incentive program for Vermont Utilities. So to the extent that doesn't work out for any reason, you know, our first choice would be to work with, you know, somebody like Green Mountain Power. The other two projects we have, this one's with Velco, the other two are with Green Mountain Power. So I speak with them every other week because we're doing design engineering. So I have a pretty good relationship with those folks. But really the opportunity to do it didn't emerge until, frankly, it hasn't been signed into law yet, and they have to make the regulations for it. I think they would possibly be in a position to buy power in 2025 from a project of our scale.
Any more questions? Pardon me? Sure. Sure, come on over, speak to the mic, please. That would be nice.
I would agree.
I would appreciate that.
Me too.
Anybody that doesn't agree with these folks, will probably have a good job.
That's right.
You want the $7?
I put a lot of time into this, and I appreciate it, whether it's good or bad or whatever, we not. So we're gonna do, you guys step up. Thank you.
We are not your enemy.
We are all people who live in this town and want what's best for
We
the
care
town.
about this town. We've improved our town. We're one of the best towns in Addison County, and we've changed this town so dramatically, the
We've
three of
helped
us.
with all the people in town. We've worked together. So.
So attacking us does not
Just-
make us
just-
welcome to do this.
Yeah, it just makes it hard to want to.
God bless you, man, for standing in front of us. Such a group of people that are so much against us. Fire you to see it in the room. It's like, nothing's gonna work if people don't work together.
Thank God. There you go.
Yeah. That's the process.
This is what we do. Yeah. He mainly give ideas to people, give their opinion, and that's why we live in a great country.
As long as you don't come into our town and make a mess of me.
Yeah, no,
Something in escrow there to say if it falls apart. Hurricane number 60 comes along and destroys everything. You got a recovery plan, it doesn't cost us any money.
That's the way it is set up.
Okay.
That's how it is. That's, yeah, that's how it is.
Yes. I just wanted to say one more thing about the votes. I've done some research on the kind of votes that other towns have done on this, on these kinds of things, and they call a special vote, special meeting for a vote. This kind of vote is a non-binding vote. It's basically to gauge public sentiment for the select board to know how the majority of the public, whether people show up to vote or not, we have no control over that. Every election in this town, there's 542 voters. I think it's around 200 that show up at best. But, you know, you can't force people to come over here and vote. If they want their voice to be known, they will come and vote. And that it is a non-binding advisory vote. Okay?
Thank you. Any
Yeah.
other questions?
And again, we're gonna wrap up. I don't think we need executive session.
I don't think so either. I think I just.
Unless
Do you have questions for us?
No,
Procedural
yeah, we
stuff?
do need.
I
Okay.
do. Whether it's now or another time, I think it's in your benefit to hear
Yeah.
from me,
Yeah.
under the, attorney-client privilege.
Okay,
Yeah.
then I think we'll do
But
that.
we can do it another time.
All right, this ends the
Public's
public comment and meeting, so thank you for everybody for coming, and we are going to move, I'd like to make a motion, move into executive session to talk about legal issues for the town of Canton. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Thanks, everybody, for coming.
Thank you.
voting again for results on our.
Pardon me?
I will be.
Okay, we're clicking all those people.
Okay, folks, thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you for coming. Yep,
Thank you very much again.
thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thanks for coming.
I'm clicking off the audio, so Peter, you will not hear us. Thank you for coming.
It's freezing, really. Isn't it almost freezing?
It feels good, it feels good to be. All right, so.
We have to wait till he comes back in. Anybody out there? I would like to make a motion. I don't think we need to, there was,
No, just for you to take the direction of the select board
Yep.
and move forward with the plans that we have.
Yep. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 11:16. Oh, look at that. Okay,
Well
Mike.
done.
Thank you.
Okay.
No, it's okay. It is what it is.
It,
Interesting.
when there, I mean, when it was all shouting, all the shouting going on about how long we're supposed to, but the thing is they come and they say the same exact thing every time. We've listened to the same comments.
All right, do we shut this up?
Yeah. Oh, I gotta stop that. Oh, that was on the recording. That was bad.
Do you have, to
Here, guys, ready for